we're gonna go move into the actual furnace room.
The events of that day were to lead to one of the most bizarre crimes in the annals of American history. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
I said I was going to review the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise, but I didn't say in which order. Now, some of you may be wondering, why would I start off this franchise discussing the 2003 remake instead of the 1974 original? I actually saw the 2003 remake before, any other film in this franchise, shockingly because of my age, who would have guessed? But I was about 10 years old, or maybe 11, when my uncle had this on DVD. And it was that really cool DVD set where it folded down to a chainsaw, and it had like the license plate that the game was using in the movie, and it had like crime scene photos of the Hewitt house and everything. DVD packages were a lot cooler than Blu-rays now. But I'd watched that, and because the film, it takes place in 1970s and everything like that, I actually thought at that age that this was the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre film. And so not only did I think that this was the first one, it's the first one I saw, but it's also, there was only 3 movies, really like 3 horror films that ever gave me a scare, actually, got my heart pumping. And this was one of them. I actually learned what suspense was when I was watching the main character run through that meat house, well, not the meat house, just the random house at the end of the movie. And they're just trying to get away from Leatherface. And like that was just, I remember as a kid thinking that she was going to die there. And that really got me into the idea of horror films and being attached to a character and like the actual urge inside you to just want to see them get away, almost as much as like you would want to get away in that situation. And this film really taught me that at the young age, and I really associate that with horror films to this day. So I have a lot to give credit for to this film, and this film I really enjoy. I have a good time with it every single time I watch it. It's the reason why I watched it first, because I was really excited to go back to this one, because I actually haven't watched it in years. So really excited to see this one. So was my girlfriend, because she hadn't watched it in a long time either, but this is the one I wanted to start the review franchise with, so let's start the review. Starting off with the positives for this movie, it has a really good just cast. Maybe not the greatest cast, it's not star-studded or anything like that, but a good group of characters. I do care for these guys, and I want to see every single one of them get out of this situation. At the start of the film, really the only one I really don't care about is Pepper, but who really cares about Pepper? She's not really part of the main group dynamic. But that main 4, Morgan, Andy, Kemper, and I always want to call her Jessica Biel, but it's not Jessica Biel. It's her name inside the movie. Aaron, Morgan, Kemper, Andy. Those guys really, they're just fun group of characters, and they all have a lot going on, but not it really pointed out too, which I find really interesting, because they really could have bloated this script, or really try to focus on some elements that I didn't need to, but I didn't do that.
Can somebody please make her stop singing? Carry me home, see my kid.
I think you got a beautiful voice, baby.
Thank you.
Funny enough, one of those elements is that the 3 main guys, Morgan, Andy, and Kemper is the boyfriend, long-term boyfriend of Aaron's, they had just gone to Mexico, and they're on their way to, I think it's Texas or something like that, to go see a concert, but they just came back from Mexico, and the trip from Mexico was to buy a shit ton of weed. I think it was 12 pounds, so they can go and sell it or distribute it or where the fuck it is. Maybe they're mules and give it to somebody else. I think this is funny because this is the first Platinum Dunes movie with, Michael Bay produced everything. And in the Friday the 13th remake, it's the same thing. The first group of characters, they go there to go and try to pick up weed so they can go sell it. It's it's so odd. Is that the main goal for these remake characters? They just want to go find weed to go sell it, and then there's some fucking person. It's funny. I think it's a little small connection there. But they could have put this little weed subplot, into a huge thing, but it really is not there for anything big, except for the point that they need to establish why they have, joints in the car and everything like that for, Sheriff Hoyt, or what the fuck his name is, to find. And this weed subplot really could have been blown out of proportion, but they knew to just keep it into a small thing, and it's really just there to set up that they have weed in the car for the sheriff to, find and pretty much put him under arrest and such. And another really small subplot that elevates both Aaron and Kemper as a couple that I really wanted to see prevail, and it sucks that Kemper is pretty much the first main victim in the movie, but the fact that Aaron is secretly pregnant, and she has not told Kemper, and Kemper has not caught on. This is never explicitly said in the film. She never just outright says that she's pregnant, but she does refuse to drink. She refuses to smoke weed.
Oh
No, thank you, I'm nauseous.
Montezuma's revenge. I was like, Aaron, don't drink the water down there.
I didn't.
And she didn't drink the tequila. She didn't drink the weed, smoke the weed.
And in the entire film, she drops these little hints about how, like when they all want to leave the hitchhiker's body in the just for the sheriff to go find. Aaron is the voice of reason, even though technically gets everybody killed. But Aaron's the one who says that we should stay here to make sure that this girl gets found by the sheriff and such, because she would have parents that would want to know where she's at. And Aaron's thinking about this because if this were her baby, she would want to know where her kid's at, dead or alive. She would still want that info, some consolation for it. And even throughout the entire film, the Hewitt family is kidnapping children, integrating them into their family. So the newest baby that they have kidnapped, it is Aaron's main goal to make sure that they cannot keep that baby at the end, and pretty much return it to some sort of family that might have remained, grandparents or whatever. Because as a parent herself, or an upcoming parent, she would want the same thing.
That's not your baby. You stole her!
It's never explicitly said. This drives her character, and it also makes it to where it's really bittersweet for Kemper, because I know that Kemper would want to have a kid with her. And so, not only that, she's mad that Kemper didn't propose to her in Mexico, and later on in the movie, when Leatherface is dressing down Kemper's body, an engagement ring falls out of Kemper's pocket. So he was going to propose to her. So it's this very bitter moment between these two, because she'll never know that Kemper was going to propose, and Kemper will never know that there was a baby on the way. Very small, never really said, and it's never really explicitly put out in the film, but every single time I watch it, I love these little dynamics that the script is putting on, that it really, for an hour-and-a-half slasher film, especially of a remake, it didn't need to do that, and it still went out of its way to make sure that this first Platinum Dunes remake was actually, some quality, and not just the scares, but in the rating department.
Take it down.
Guys, relax. It's not like we don't have 2 pounds of shit.
What did you say?
Andy and Morgan are good characters too. They're not main characters in the slightest. There's little side characters that are there to, try to help Aaron get free from the situation. But they do a good job with the material they're given. Not only the actors, but the characters get put through enough that keeps them engaging when you're watching them on screen too. They don't immediately die. Kemper's the only person that just immediately dies, which is, that's kind of shocking. But these guys actually get prolonged a bit. And Andy, he gets his leg cut off, and he still has to survive through it. And he gets asked for Aaron to put him out his misery. But that goes on, and I like the fact that Andy and Aaron, they weren't boyfriend and girlfriend, but they did feel like they were friends for a long time, and she really did care about Andy in the sense that, she didn't want him to die. They were friends. And I really like that. That came across really clear to me. I thought that it was good that Andy was doing anything he could to make sure that Aaron could survive. And same thing with Morgan. Morgan got put through a shit ton of, just hell. When he was in the backseat of the car and the sheriff was forcing the gun in his mouth, everything he was getting put through there, having to turn the gun on the sheriff, that'd be scary for anybody to do, let alone with Leatherface being in the situation. But if you think this corrupt cop's gonna shoot you, and you almost want to take the gun, try to just do it in self-defense, because you're only scared for your life, it's the only reason why you want to attack this guy, that's a horrifying situation in itself. And of course, Morgan just gets beat, he gets brutalized, and then later in the film, he ends up sacrificing himself just to make sure that Eric could get away, and that was part of that moment of suspense. I thought she was gonna die there. I thought that she wasn't able to get away, and Morgan coming out and just attacking Leatherface for getting murdered right there. I thought that that was everything that every character gets. Even Kemper dies really early on, but he has so much stuff to do before that happens. Every character gets a fair amount of screen time, except for Pepper, who's boring. But this entire 4-character cast, you want to see him survive, and that really matters. And it's not just the group of 4 that are compelling, it's the Hewitt family too. This entire deranged family is terrifying. You have the Sheriff Hoyt, who is, obviously probably the most, even though you have Leatherface in this family, Sheriff Hoyt in this remake is just as scary as, the head of the family, the man of the house, and he, impersonating this officer, which I guess you don't know if he's impersonating or not until the prequel, but him playing this officer character, giving him the status of authority that you're supposed to immediately trust to, and you just have to kind of, go with his word because he has so much, power in this situation. that is terrifying in itself, especially when he's just able to call on this big hulking monster with the chainsaw to come up whenever he needs it. Even though the guy's not terrifying, it's definitely creepy when you get the weird pervert in the wheelchair just grabbing onto Aaron's ass while he's like trying to get help up and everything. Also, you know, he's also doing it to distract Leatherface so he can go kill Kemper. But it's just this group of just creepy characters. You know, you got Pervert Guy, you got the trailer family that drugs Aaron and gives her like the, you know, the roofie tea or whatever the fuck it was. Then like those guys, they're also pretty creepy. It's just everything about this where it's this whole deranged trailer park type vibe, but also like it's the backwoods. Not, you know, not inbred, but it definitely they just feel like they don't feel like they're human at points. And it comes off really well in the movie. Everybody does their part well there, and it feels like this, you know, freak show of monsters that you would not want to be a part of.
What's wrong with you fucking people?
Nothing wrong with us.
Help me! Help me, please! Thomas Brown Hewitt, you get in here right now!
And the star of the show, Leatherface, he is scary in this movie. I love this shot of when he takes, you know, Kemper's face, the boyfriend, he puts it on, and when he attacks Aaron and Pepper, you know, he kills Pepper, and the headlights of the car are just shining on him doing this, and he turns around, and Aaron can just see her boyfriend's face plastered over on Leatherface's head, and it's an amazing shot. This Leatherface in this movie, not talking about the original, just here, this Leatherface is more intimidating. He's scary. He feels like an angry person. He feels like he is a hurt, angry person who is this ball of rage and is just waiting to be let out at points. Even he just wants to be by himself, doing these horrible, brutal things to people. I know they try, and especially in the prequel, try to like act like he's a little bit more sympathetic, but no, he's a brutal, hulking monster, and he's not a force you want to be reckoned with. Like, he'll track you down. He is scary in this movie. He is like a titan just rushing towards you. So I think that this is a really, if you're not going to do the first portrayal of Leatherface, which really you shouldn't be copying it, this is the way to go. Just this terrifying monster. Overall, this is a really good movie. And you know what? Like, you know, it's a remake horror film. How could it be a good movie? Well, that is. It's an entertaining hour and 30 minutes that accomplishes what it sets out to do. It will put in scares, it puts in good characters that you'll care about, and especially for horror remakes, this is cream of the crop. This is top tier. You don't get a lot of horror remakes. There's a select handful of horror remakes that are in this upper echelon that I can say are good movies and can compete with their originals. They really do offer something that you can just watch and enjoy with the rest of the franchise. If you have not seen this movie, definitely check it out. If you're like me and you haven't even seen it in a couple or a few years, check it out. You have friends or a family member that you want to show a horror film to, show this one. It's great, it's engaging, and it's modern enough too to be able to bring in any newer audience member without having to feel like you alienate them with type of how older films are, because you know how some people can be when it comes to watching movies. This is a good movie, and I think that, you know, if anybody is giving it some flack, it's probably a little undeserved, because I love the original, but you don't gotta hold it such a high regard that other films that come after it, you know, can't be made good as well. Okay, well, join me next time when we talk about Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Beginning, the prequel in this two-movie saga and this little condensed universe they have in this entire franchise. I don't know, they only put 2 movies into it. Maybe they didn't have a lot of confidence. But join us in the next video when we talk about that.